You're listening to Quantum Conversations with Karen Curry Parker. Join us as we explore new frontiers in consciousness, science, and evolution. And now here's your host, Karen Curry Parker.
Let's be honest. We're afraid of death. There's an existential worry that death will mean the end of us, our finite lives drawn to a complete circle and then nothing. We not only fear our own death, we fear the death of our loved ones. Many years ago, when I worked as a psychic medium, people would come to me wanting to connect with their crossed over loved ones. Every once in a while, people would want to know, where did Aunt Lucy hide the bonds she promised me in her will? But by far, most people had two important questions. Number one, is my loved one okay? And number two, is my loved one still with me? A strict Newtonian view of physics forces us into the mindset that death is the end of life. Our physical life is all there is, and once it's over, it's over. But what quantum physics shows us is that our physical life is the blossoming of a quantum possibility, a continuum of possibility that is expressed in a third-dimensional existence and, once complete, continues on as an eternal archetype that we can continue to commune with from the deepest and highest place of love. Hi, and welcome to Quantum Conversations. I'm Karen Curry Parker, and I'm feeling really blessed and really, frankly, kind of moved to be sharing this week's conversation with Dr. Joe Gallenberger. Dr. Joe is a clinical psychologist with over 30 years experience. He is a manifestation expert who teaches people how to unlock their psychokinetic and manifestation potential. And he also shows people how to tap into the power of the heart for the sake of healing. His new book, Heaven is for Healing, The Soul's Journey After Suicide, is actually his story of his healing after his brother's suicide. Dr. Joe is also a senior trainer at the Monroe Institute, and he created their highly successful MC Squared program. He's developed Sync Creation, a home study course in manifestation, and has taught over 70 what he calls inner Vegas adventure workshops. He's also created a series of what I personally think are absolutely amazing meditations. I have been doing them diligently over the last couple of days. That are they're called binaural beat. Am I saying that right, Dr. Joe? Binaural
Yes,
beat
that's
meditations.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get them on CD. And when you're done with this, listening to this, you're going to also know, for those of you who are not as patient, you can actually go download them immediately. So I was very excited about that. He's also written a book called Liquid Luck. He also has another book called Inner Vegas. And do you want to give me the subtitle for the Inner Vegas again? Because I think people think this is a gaming book, but it's really not, is it?
No, it's full title is Inner Vegas, Creating Miracles, Abundance, and Health, where we use the Las Vegas environment as a feedback device and a learning device at the tables to show people that these manifestation skills really work and we can get quick feedback there. And they work for manifesting or healing. So that's what that's about.
And then you also have a brand new meditation called The Ocean Heart. It's a meditation for healing a broken heart and facing the stresses of the world with inner peace. So I'm really glad to have you here. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Karen.
Talk to me a little bit about the story of your journey with your brother and what happened with your brother.
Sure. He was my older brother by about 8 years in a family of 5. So he really was in charge of a lot of the early child duties like diapering me, etc. And then as we were growing up, was mentoring me in the ways of the world, if you will. He was handsome, intelligent, hardworking, but he had a glitch in his personality. And there was, despite much effort, he was never able to get a job and hold it steadily. If he got a job selling RVs, then there'd be a gas crisis and that business would collapse, that kind of thing. And so I took back up with him when I had my psychology practice office and he began to live with me, being out of funds himself, in the upper floor of my office, and we bonded as best friends then. He, by then, had been in a car accident, was having a lot of physical pain as well. So I then did get a call from the Las Vegas police that my brother had shot himself, and I had to present that to the family and deal with what was going on. For everyone, sudden death is a shock. And with suicide, there's usually a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda in the family. What could have he done differently? And often it's a very isolated type of thing to be grieving within suicide, because people often just don't want to talk about it. They move away. And so I wanted to really go through the grieving in an enlightened way, and wrote a book called Brothers Forever 20 years ago about that. Also, with my work at Monroe, they teach very deep meditation states. So within those deep meditation states, people feel they can be in touch with the energy or the intelligences of people when they do pass over and on the other side. Monroe has a program called Lifeline. They've even done documentary on TV on it, where they've traced back what people have said, even people that have died a century ago, and confirmed the data. So I brought some of those meditation skills to bear, and also a woman I respect very much who is a channeler to bring in his energy and communicate. And we went through the grief process that way. It changed my life a lot, and it made my directive. How can it be that good people trying real hard don't get good success? And it seemed like my brother was missing two things. One, that he didn't feel deserving, and two, that we always having to vote whether we go with fear or love. I have a phrase: fear is expensive, love is priceless, choose wisely. And it was hard for him not to choose the fear. So then much of my work over the last 20 years has been in manifestation, as you've mentioned. So recently, it's the 20th anniversary of his death. I said, gee, it's changed me a lot, and what I've done here, wonder what he's been doing on the other side for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And so we began communications again to see what happened to him, well, how he's doing, and what happens for people with suicide in general, and in fact, all of us when we die. And the first session we had with the channeler there, Karen, it was unbelievable, the amount of compassion and energy that was pouring from them to us. Made me cry and not be able to sit down, walk around. The energy was so high. And the medium or channel also was weeping. And this tremendous compassion for us here in physical was conveyed, and an assurance that we're well cared for when we get to the other side. And then they went through some specifics about what they do specially for people with suicide.
Let's go through in just a second, because I want to get to this place, and I also really want you to lay this out for us, because what I'm getting is you working with the channel, you're connecting with your brother, and you're also, I'm imagining, connecting through your own meditative experiences as well. And then yes, walk us through the whole, a little, in short form, the 20-year journey here. He killed himself. So what came after the experience of his suicide? What happened for him in the beginning of this process, and how did he get to where he is right now over this 20-year process?
The first thing he sent was like a road sign with a gavel, like a judge's gavel, and a line through it with a strong thought that there is no judgment over there. And a great relief about that. We were raised Catholic. So, our feeling was you go to hell for all eternity with such an act. And then there was a settling down and a rest period. And eventually getting together with guidance. I'm looking at this maybe months of settling down, then getting together with guidance. He was sort of eager to reincarnate again, if you will. And they said, why don't you just hold up and observe your brother Joe and other things and learn a little bit more. And he went into more of a classroom type of setting for quite a few of these years to learn about feminine energy, which he didn't understand well when he was here, to the power of surrender, the power of intuition, of open heart through the feminine. he learned about the give and take of love and life, if you will, and how he could have done things differently. There was a period of, I would call it wistfulness. Knowing what I know now, Pete said, gee, I could do it differently. I could do it better. Let me get back there. But they were saying, hold up, a lot of healing to do here. And eventually, within the timing, coincidentally or synchronistically, when I started these interviews back with him, they were beginning to plan with him another incarnation. What came across there was very deep respect for our own individual choice. They set out many scenarios for him, some more challenging than others. And something that was a big surprise to me, Karen, they offered him also some non-physical lives where he did not incarnate back to Earth, where you could, like a very vivid dream, feeling it's fully real, go through being born, having girlfriend, getting married, doing what you do, but staying more in touch with spirit and not having seen things so dark and limited as it is here for us when our very problems are coded into our DNA and our family's DNA. And he, in fact, looked like that's what he is going to opt to do. And they said many people who have had a difficult life are very reluctant to come back here because of the pain they've experienced. And so these simulation lives allow them to get stronger and prepare a little better before really coming back to here, which can be a challenging planet.
The spiritual holodeck, huh?
Yes, yes.
I like this. So fast forward 20 years, he's gone through this process of healing and learning and now contemplating reincarnating in a different form. In these newer sessions that you had with your brother, what are the biggest things that you've learned that you think people need to know about working through the challenges of life right now?
Well, one thing, I don't know if I can put it quickly in words. Toward the end, he was indicating all this appreciation for the love I've extended and our family did. And I said, Pete, you need to understand, even with all the crap you pulled, you were a great gift to us. And he could not hear that still fully. He said, well, I was just reflecting your light. And I'm saying, no, I want you to really hear that you have your own light. And it pointed to me that these deep personality patterns we can have, or character patterns, can endure for lifetimes. And they were working on that for healing that. The other thing I would learn that I think is important is all death leads to light. No life is wasted, no experience is wasted. Regardless how it looks on the surface, great things can be learned. For him, he came into this life with me not believing love was even possible, and he left thinking love was a possibility. That's an amazing victory. But on the surface, the life may look like a failure. So that reinforces this never judge. And, I said, well, with all the pain here, why do we even come here? And they said, this is an exceptional learning school. And if you can get it right, or close to right, the beauty here that is here and many other things that are here are very unique and very valuable, both in the world here when you're here and also in the world of spirit when you're there. They said once you get into spirit, you can relive and feel it as vivid as a vivid dream, any wonderful experience you've had here, and you can relive it over and over as if it were new, knowing you're, doing a simulation, if you will, but having the full enjoyment of that taste of the orange and smelling the juice and all of that. So human life here is very juicy, very valued, and over there it continues. There's some people that feel either, do something bad, you go to hell, but if you do something good, you go to heaven, kind of a permanent state. And it seems more that there's continuous learning, both there and here. And there's great assistance available if we can tune into it and use it.
You said something, and I just want to pick up on that because it's a dialogue that we have a lot at quantum conversations, and certainly even in just out in the world. You said, if you get it right, you can continue to carry the joy and the bliss of these experiences forward. I
Yeah.
want to just dive into the phrase right, because I really want to make sure that we've got a good understanding of what that is. Because to
Okay.
me, when we say that, and then you talk about the issue of deserving, which your brother struggled with, and I think,
Mhm.
frankly, probably most people on this planet in some way, shape, or form, I think, struggle with the issue of deserving. How do you get a sense of worth, your own sense of personal
Correct.
worth, right
Well,
in this like?
again, get it right might be too discontinuous, like pass fail. In my
Hmm.
experience with manifestation, let's say you wanted to find your soulmate. If going forward with that, you have 80% fear you won't, and 80% fear you're unworthy, and only 20% desire, it's not likely to come to you. If you get to 50-50, there'll be glimmers. As you get to 60% desire, 40% fear, things may begin to happen, but with glitches. As you get more to 80% clear intention, clear desire, and only 20% fear, things start happening really well. And at 90% desire, miracles, synchronicities, all kinds of things come to you. So the main challenge here is this contest, if you will, between voting for love or fear in some ways. And so getting it right means through the contacting the beauty of nature and other things, grounding to the planet so you fully want to be here. Many people are just trying to escape through alcohol, drugs, TV, pursuing money or something. And once connected deeply to here, connecting with your spiritual side, which can provide great strength. So you have this energy pouring into your heart and expanding you to bless others as well as yourself. That's when, we'd say you've gotten it right. So it doesn't matter what's happened. You may have planned even before a life to have many challenges. My wife lost a child at 6 years old to brain cancer. That was probably something she knew beforehand that would happen. So it's not like bad things don't happen, but your attitude is shifted to one where you can allow love and light in and learn and grow and expand and use what's happened to you to help teach others. Does that make sense, Karen?
It makes total sense. And I think it's fascinating to talk about this, I think, especially I think at this point in the context of, say, some of the things we've been discussing in the spiritual community since, let's say, the movie The Secret came out, which I think was sort of this seminal piece of a dialogue that we've had about
Yes.
creation. And I think for a lot of people, the takeaway from The Secret, and I'm not secret bashing, I'm just saying this is complete, we're still completing our understanding, I think, of the process. But the takeaway in The Secret was, set your mind to it, do your affirmations, do your vision boards, keep thinking about it, and someday, poof, it'll show up. And I'm not saying there isn't a power to mindset. Obviously, mindset is key. But one of the things that I've found so fascinating in all the books that I read, preparing for our interview, is that you talk so much about this creation process not being about, okay, get your mind straight and focus on this one outcome, but you talk so much about the creative process being in the heart. Tell me a little bit more about that piece.
So Karen, yeah, the intention you have, like thinking of that new house, to me is like the steering wheel in a car. It sets your direction, but you go nowhere with no gas. And the best gas you can put in your tank is the energy of love, because love reduces ego, love increases wisdom, love gives you more connection to the earth and being grounded, as I mentioned, the power of now, being here now. And you can fight all these fear dragons and doubts and limiting beliefs. And it's like putting out brush fires, to mix metaphor here. And if you just move into a deeply loving state, then your ego quiets, all those concerns quiet, and your intention can begin to flow. As you know, I talk a lot about imagine this or something better. So when I wanted to take my wife to Paris, by the end of the day, I had an offer to train there. By the end of further into the day, I had free first class tickets round trip. So my desire was fulfilled, but that or something better, it ended up with dozens of workshops, including some healing for the Holocaust, some help in Cyprus where they're having some bitter conflicts, and many things I hadn't anticipated when I just said, gee, I'd like to go to Paris. So when you've opened yourself to being a conduit for the universe as well as accepting the good that would like to flow to you, that's when things like The Secret, your intention there, can really begin to flow. Else you're kind of dead in the water. And so I've met many people where The Secret was almost a disservice, because then they try visualization, it doesn't work, and they think they're unworthy and they're back in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that to me was the most beautiful part that you offered. I also want to just touch back on one other piece that I think was so profound. And part of it is sort of relating back to my own personal experiences working as a medium, which I did for a couple of years. One of the experiences that I often had when connecting with people who crossed over was the sheer quantity and quality of the love frequency that you experience when you sort of break free from the physical reality and move into that energy of not being incarnated is profound. And you mentioned that a little bit, that you connected with your brother at this point, that the energy is so high. I just want to, first of all, thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes I think we have that fear of the other side being sort of either dark or cold or lost or hellish or whatever. And to really encourage people, and I know you talk a lot about this, and you're welcome to jump in at any point, but to really encourage people to remember that that's really who we are. I think that boundless, unlimited quantity and quality of love that's so high that I think even our physical bodies can't quite hold that frequency.
Yes, in a way, we're amazing beings. We bridge heaven and earth. To me, I'm like the big X. The bottom of the X is grounded in the earth, the top of the X into the heavens, and those energies meet in the heart. Again, suicide, some people go, oh, you then have to repeat everything all over again. I'm not seeing any of that punitiveness there, but it doesn't allow you to escape, if you will, these primary issues. Much like, I don't know, many people here have had an experience where they had a relationship, they ended through divorce or whatever, and they end up with the same issues in the next relationship. And but maybe a little better. Maybe the other they can communicate a little better in the second one. But you are you, and whether you're physical or non-physical, you carry you. But over there, tremendous energies to be helpful to you. And we need that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Netflix just released a series last week called 13 Reasons Why, about young adults and suicide. And, really, I actually think, a really interesting conversation starter. But, as we kind of wind down here, what do you think, first of all, is something that we can do collectively to perhaps keep people from hitting that place of despair? And then secondly, what would you tell people who are themselves dealing with the loss of a loved one through suicide?
We can help people all the time by being kind, being present for them, being attentive. My brother was actually good at that. After his death, we got notes from grocery store clerks and bank tellers of how much he affected them positively in his life, because he would take time. So notice people, meet them where they are in their dignity. Saw something on Facebook today. Somebody posted on the homeless, and there were a series of harsh judgments, like, those folks are just parasites. And I know some homeless and a bunch of other people chimed in of how it's not like it looks on the surface. So engage us personally to keep out of that vortex of negativity and fear. And there's a lot of it now with the politics currently, etc. The meditation and being in the beauty of nature, I think, are really powerful. Surrounding yourself with people that are positive, tuning down the broadcast TV stuff on the news, and meditations like I developed one called Ocean Heart as a direct companion to this book, to try to heal when we have felt betrayed or in a broken-hearted space, or that we're feeling the stresses of the world are overwhelming us. So with the imagery in that CD, I personally was able to then look at all the turmoil in the Middle East and not lose my sense of peace, and yet still be in deep compassion for what's going on, versus withdrawal. At some point in the suicide process, frankly, there often is a slide that's very hard to recover from. But along the way, any talk with, I will not judge you, I will just listen, encouragement can be helpful, and of course, psychotherapy, medication, those kind of things. So if we all took care of each other better, there would be less. Suicide, is a big spectrum from I have 2 weeks to live with cancer and I don't want to go through the pain, and it's treated differently on the other side than murder-suicide, where, there's this tremendous amount of pain that the person creates as they leave. To the adolescent who might be called a little bit lack of foresight. If they just waited 3 months, things would change. So it's like us, very individual, but just to know there's lots of help available there and here. There are suicide hotlines. I've called a few that I have in my book, and they answered on the first ring, and the people were very compassionate. So even if you have nobody around, and you're thinking that way, I would reach out. But if you see somebody who's quietly struggling or loudly struggling, try to help.
Yeah, beautiful. So compassion can change the world, and it's not just woo-woo and fluffy. So I did listen to your Ocean Heart meditation this weekend, and I have to say it was incredibly profound and frankly, very healing.
Wonderful.
As you said, just to have that space. I think, when I watch people right now struggling with the politics and everything that I think that shows up on your CNN newsfeed, right? Or Facebook. It's easy to feel, I think, disempowered or hopeless and discouraged. And I think it's very tricky. And this is something I really want you just to speak to just for a minute. Really tricky to gauge that fine line between what do I do to take empowered action and how do I stay in a compassionate place so that the actions that I take, whether they are actions of, political activism or actions of compassion, how do people stay balanced in their energy? I mean, this is a doing planet to a certain degree. I mean, you still have to kind of move the metaphorical mud, right? How do you do that and stay grounded, the word that you use, in beauty, in truth, in compassion?
I think we are designed to take in unlimited energy directly from source, however you define that, God or what have you. And my model is you fill yourself first to overflowing with healing energy, with energy in general, and then with the overflow, you help others on a family basis as well as on a world basis. That way you do not burn out. That way you won't be in fear. That way they won't drain you. That way you'll make your decisions from greatest wisdom. So it's a model of a continuous flow, but you keep yourself full. And then there's plenty to share with others. And so all the work, Liquid Luck and Inner Vegas and this, Ocean Heart, is designed that, you're in a position of great strength from overflowing energy and very connected to spirit yourself and to the earth. And then from that position, just your example, if you don't even say anything, you could be in a monastery, nobody even seeing you. I think you'll help the world. But when you go out and just say hi to the person on the park bench, your impact will be much more powerful for them.
Awesome. Beautiful. Heaven is for Healing, A Soul's Journey After Suicide, and the Ocean Heart Meditation. You can find Heaven is for Healing on Amazon. And where else would you like people to come and connect with you, Dr. Joe?
Sure. 2 websites, pretty easy, are heavenisforhealing.com and oceanheartcd.com. Either one will take you to that page plus my main website of all these things we've been talking about. And if you just Google Ocean Heart or Heaven is for Healing, my website would come up. The CD is only available through my website as download or CD, but the book is on Amazon as well.
Awesome, beautiful. And yes, you absolutely can hang up and go download it right away, which I encourage you to do. So thank you, Dr. Joseph Gallenberger, for joining us, and thank you for helping us understand this bridge between where we are right now and heaven and the possibility of what's awaiting us. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karen, for having me so much, and I hope today helps a lot of people through your efforts, and I was glad to be part of that.
We are in a process of eternal learning. We are learning when we are alive, and we are learning when we've transitioned into our non-physical state. When we are humans, we have two great challenges: to master our own value and deserving, and to learn to let love overcome our fears and serve as our guiding light. This is the message Dr. Joe's brother brought us, and one that I've learned from other non-incarnate souls over and over again. As a medium, transition souls always told me 3 clear messages, the same ones over and over again for their loved ones. The first message was, don't be sad, be happy. The second one was, I'm sorry for any hurt that I caused while I was alive. And number 3, I love you. Love is the North Star of our life, and we are valuable because we exist. And the place that we occupy in the cosmos is a place that cannot be held by any other. We are who we are collectively because you are who you are, and there's no one else like you. Dr. Joe shared with us that there is no hell, only learning. Heaven is for healing and learning, and that compassion is creative. When we connect to our hearts and we see the creative power of love, not only do we align with greater things for ourselves, we increase the frequency of possibility for others. Sometimes Earth School is hard. No matter how much we have or how good it might look to others, many sensitive souls choose to leave by their own hand. It's hard to live on a planet that can sometimes feel so out of alignment with love. Let's be gentle with each other. Let's practice compassion and acceptance. Let's surrender our fears and unworthiness and allow ourselves to be the fullest expression of who we truly are. And let compassion create a world of sustainable peace. If you'd like to learn more about who you really are and learn to love yourself more fully, please visit our Quantum Conversations Facebook page. While you're there, you can get your free human design chart and discover your unique energy blueprint. You can also leave us feedback and ideas about who you'd like to share a quantum conversation with. I'm Karen Curry Parker. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening to Quantum Conversations with Karen Curry Parker. For more information, visit joyfulmission.com.